All right, YouTube, look what we got here from Aliexpress. It's got some shoulder straps, a little gas can. That's kind of interesting. A tube. A blowy thing. Another tube. A bendy tube. Hose clamps, a spark plug wrench, and an Allen key. And some other crap that just fell out. A funnel. Another clampy thing. Oh, there's an instruction manual in here. So, before we get to the fun part about taking that apart, let's see what we have in the instruction manual. Let's zoom out a little. Welcome to the best, all caps, family. This, with too big of a space product, was designed and manufactured to provide long life and on-the-job dependability, with all hyphens. Strange. Read and understand this manual. You'll find it easy to use and full of helpful operating tips and all caps safety messages. The operator's manual _ contains no capital. Some stuff. The operator's really big space after the apostrophe S manual. Install blower pipes / stick handle. Oh, there's also a big space in between safety and instructions. Skill with a big space levels. Description, all caps, in quotation marks, but no space. Is there anything good here? Physical condition as a section heading, no caps at all. Your judgment and physical dexterity may not be good, semicolon. Okay, none of that's too bad. Wear eye protection that meets some ANSI standard or CE requirements. Hopefully that's the right ANSI number. This seems reasonable. Why is hearing protection like squished? Weirdly squished. Do the warning labels look interesting? Oh, caution, touch grass. Need that for the internet these days. Finger severing. That's a cool one. Man, this thing really wants you to touch grass. Wear proper clothing. Do not wear shorts. Do not wear eater's scarfs jewelry. Well, like, what the heck? All caps, no spaces. Ties. Do not wear ties, scarves, or jewelry. Do not wear open-toed shoes. God, I really wanted to say that said torpedoes. Do not operate unit barefooted. Again, all caps, no spaces. What the hell? It even tells you not to work when it's hot and humid. Wild. When are we going to get to, like, any sort of information about this? Spectators and fellow workers must be warned. Children and animals prevented coming near 15 meters while blowers in use. Keep a firm grip. Why is it a weird tiny font? Keep a solid stance. Never use a higher speed setting than necessary to perform the task. Guy, this is a leaf blower. It has 2 throttle settings, idle and WFO. Wow, it says it's an engine. It doesn't tell you the capacity of the engine. This is claimed to be 65cc. We will be measuring that. 25-1 for the 2-stroke oil. That's not EPA certified. We don't need these instructions for assembling anything. Do not smoke near fuel, thanks. Never refuel when hot. We're going to ignore that one. Da-da-da-da. Wait, use short pulls only when starting it? Only half to 2/3 of the rope length? Do not allow the rope to snap back. Hold on, how long is the rope length? Oh, we lost our camera preview on the watch. I want to make sure I'm in frame for this. Come on. How long? We'll zoom out. Oh, that was the wrong way. There we go. Okay, this has a lot of rope. Like, I say it's reasonable that you're not going to pull it all the way. And of course, we just let it snap in. Is there any other good things that are interesting in this user manual? Do-do-do-do. It's really throwing me how like the M is a bigger font than everything else. There's no consistency in the formatting. It's wild, these Chinese user manuals. Take a best service dealer. Yeah, we got those. Let me just go to the best dealer. Do it yourself with all dashes again. The best all caps dealer. Oh, it even gives skill level ratings for the maintenance. Let's see, replacing the air filter. Just inspect and clean. Replace it every 6 months or 270 hours. The fuel strainer is a level 1. Replace yearly. Fuel line. Oh no, sorry, that's not a level 1, that's an inspect. It doesn't give me the levels of the maintenance here. Interesting. Inspect the fuel lines, replace those yearly. They want you to replace the carburetor yearly? That's kind of crazy. Inspect the choke. What cooling system? Interesting, okay. Replace the muffler spark arrestor yearly. Inspect the root coil rope yearly. Replace the spark plug every 6 months? Dude, crazy. Oh, how to replace the air filter. It even gives the spark plug gap. I'll give them credit for that. That's pretty nice. 0.6 to 0.7 millimeters. I gotta say, this flowchart's looks pretty good here. Actually, this flowchart's actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Chinese power equipment manual. as a equipment manual, this is like a 6 out of 10. For a Chinese power equipment manual, this is like a 9 out of 10. They really don't get better than this one. Not good for entertainment value. It was mostly in okay English, but all right, let's get into this blower. Let's see what we got here. Let's take the air filter out first. Let's zoom out. Oh god, I'm gonna do this the wrong way every single time, aren't I? The fuel lines are completely devoid of fuel. They did not test fire this at the factory. Just something to note. So this is a interesting fuel or air filter design. I'll just leave it at that. It's interesting. Wow, this is like a nice rubber hose. This, I'm getting unreasonably high hopes right now. Let's get some tools. So far, what I don't like is that every fastener I can see is, almost every fastener I can see is Phillips. These are hex, and these are hex. These are, okay, it's like half hex and Phillips. All right, there's your, I don't think there's really any performance to be found in this intake. Throttle body entrance, we got our choke here. We got our throttle butterfly here. It's a barrel style carburetor, that's pretty good. No butterfly here. Maximum performance you're going to be getting on that. The motor looks like it's on rubber isolation mounts to the backpack frame. Let's figure out how the backpack frame comes off the rest of the unit. It looks like I gotta undo this screw. So it's not perfectly isolation mounted because it's using this plastic as isolation, but on the bottom it is, oh, okay, I think that's an M8 by the looks of it. Yep. We'll just undo this option instead. Just flex these off to the sides. And this should just, yep, just kind of comes out like this. Oh, there's the throttle control hiding in there. Oh, it actually does have a rubber isolation mount. I have to finish taking this piece off. Or at least take it part way off so that I can get to that mount. Oh, that's interesting. I guess I gotta undo this one. And I didn't need to undo that plastic. Pull these fuel lines off. Slip those out of there. And then I'm going to put some screws back in this so that I don't lose them. Because their removal was not required. Hello, where's the hole? There it is. Okay, we're gonna need a Allen key, guaranteed to be metric. Bet the house on it. Just so that we gotta take this out so that we can slip the controller out of the backpack frame. I could hold this nut by hand. Okay, I'm gonna have to undo this side also for that. There we go, slip that out. We can set the backpack and fuel tank on the ground. This is the fuel tank. Again, you can see not used ever. Backpack, it's got some very stiff padding, but it's got some ventilation channels in it. Here, it's got some ventilation channels, so that stiff padding probably won't be too sweaty on your back. We got a fan here. We'll get this open to really look at it. So that vanity cover and this was the screen to prevent debris from getting in here. It's definitely not the best at preventing the debris from getting in. Okay, let's get the fan open so you can look at the fan blade, maybe measure the diameter on it. Need to get the extendo. Pull off the spark plug wire. Alright, that should be all the screws holding that together. From this side at least. There's screws from this side holding it together, so I gotta take the debris guard off. Alright, from the factory they over-tightened this screw, which is unfortunate, and cracked the glass base. Dang, they held this thing together with a crap load of screws. But alright. Here is our fan blade. That's going to be too big for my calipers. Let's see. Yeah, it's 10-inch OD, just over. And 5.5-inch inducer. Keep your notes on that one. We'll have to... Somebody in the comments can compare that to any of the name brands. Steel or whatever. See how it stacks up in that way. This is starting to be annoying. Alright, I don't think... Wow, this has a lot of cooling fins on it. But I believe that we're going to have to take this fully off the fan in order to pull the jug to measure the bore and the stroke. So let's work on that. There's all the screws for this. Oh, don't want to miss that one. And another screw fell out. Must go to that. Okay. I've never taken apart a backpack blower before, but I have taken handhelds apart, and they definitely aren't constructed like this. Wow, that is very tight. Bring out the big guns. I think those had thread locker on them. We should probably go back in with thread locker. That would be an intelligent idea. How much that this probably vibrates. Alright, we can get a better look at the fan. It's cheap ABS plastic. Pre-damaged. That's cool. This is not from me. I'm gonna say this was somebody taking mold flash off and they got a little aggressive. That gate mark is horrific. Actually, this might not be ABS. It's kind of got that look that it has some glass fibers in it. Oh, it definitely has. This is definitely a fiber reinforced plastic. Not sure what. There's definitely no recycling marks on it. I'm going to take this off before it comes off on its own the first time I run the thing. Wow, this is a pretty tough plastic. Ow. Only bleeding a little. Oh, I like how the rest of this is designed. If you can see here, I don't have to take off the crank nut to take the body off this plastic because it fits clearer there. And this probably doesn't fan much, but there definitely is going to be suction through here that cools the motor. So I guess that's probably the cooling system they've been talking about. Those are not 4mm hexes like everything else has been. They must be 5. Yep. So far, this hasn't really been designed to suck to take apart, which is kind of nice. Okay. Undo this. Don't lose that clip. We can get us some more slack from that control line. Back to the 4mm. So we can, let's free the carburetor. Disconnect the kill switch. Let's have a look at this carburetor. Yep, it's a barrel carburetor. There, it looks like there's quite a lot of bypass there. We got idle. We have a adjustable low circuit. This is almost always the low circuit on these barrel style carburetors. And then we do not have an adjustable high circuit. We should be able to turn a screw down in here to adjust the high, typically. Which you can see there's a needle in there that could be adjusted this way, but no luck. I'm not the biggest fan of how they have the cable set up with the spring, but I don't think it's going to cause any issues. And then I don't think there's really a point to take this carburetor apart. You've seen one, you've seen them all. Let's get the intake manifold off. Let me take care of this. Okay, let's get the rest of this heat shield off so that we can look at the intake port. Oh good, I don't have to take the spark plug out to get that heat shield off or guide. Alright, that looks like a pretty good intake port. I guess we will see how bad the spark plug wrench from the toolkit is. Remember, kids, when you used to get a generic spark plug wrench and they just gave you 2 sizes of spark plug, even though whatever it came with only had 1? Yeah, I guess they realized they could cheap out. Ow, fucker. That hurt. That's going to be a blood blister. Let's get the calipers. .82 to the top of the piston at top dead center. And .53.4 to the top of the piston at bottom dead center. Let me do a little quick math. 34.6 millimeter stroke. Respectable. Okay, I'm going to assume that these are the screws for the exhaust, and they are not M4. Are they M5? Or, sorry, I should say not 4 millimeter hex, but 5 millimeter hex. Oh, wow, they even put a brace on that's annoyingly a different hex size than the other 2, so you need 2 different size wrenches to take the muffler off. Alright, but the brace is nice. Wow, that exhaust port, it just needs a little bit of casting cleanup, and it ain't bad. It's like it opens soon. If you look, it's got this like weird early open. But it's basically maximum height. So let's get this jug off so that we can measure the bore. What the heck are you stuck on? Is the piston just that tight? There we go. Wow, this is a very low compression design. The quad transfer ports are enormous for the displacement. Like, this is far. I'm kind of, I don't know how this is going to perform. Because I definitely wouldn't make those quad transfers this big if I was porting a 65cc jug for a chainsaw. But I'm not sure how the depth perception is on the camera. But the combustion chamber is very large. So this is going to be quite a low compression engine. Before I put it back in, I'm going to take that piece of casting flash off. The hone job on this is questionable. The piston has already experienced some significant scuffing, just like existing. The ring pack is thick and somewhat crudely cut. Roller bearing looks fine. Wrist pin held incorrectly. The assembly of all of this is good. The casting on the crankcase is actually really nice. Like, this is a pretty good die casting. I wish they die cast the fan that's going to be spinning at 65,000 or 6,500 plus RPMs, as well as they die cast the crankcase. But, I guess it has this has Japanese technology, so you know it's good. Let's see, is this just literally a piece of chrome that I can snap off, or do I have to get the Dremel out? Nope, I gotta get the, maybe the round file will take care of that. The small chainsaw sharpening round file. Wow, that casting flash was a lot more aggressive than I thought it was going to be. But it's gone now. What is nice about this compared to many of the Chinese small engines I've gotten is they're... Until I did this, there was no machining remnants. There's no grit in here. This was well cleaned before it was assembled. It has a light oil of... Interesting. This smells like it has gasoline and two-stroke oil on it, and not just assembly oil. But you could see from the fuel lines in the carburetor, this was never fired as a unit. It's like they use gasoline with two-stroke oil as assembly lubricant, which is interesting. All that's left to check out on this is the ignition coil. Yep, it's the friggin' same ignition coil that's in everything from China, more or less. And you can... Let me get the pull starter off so it's easier for me to turn the unit from here. Wow, this has got long screws. Yep. It's got two magnets on there. Just a little bit before top dead center. There's the screws to split the case are behind the output, the flywheel, I guess we'll call it. This is definitely a zinc casting for the pull starter with plastic pawls. And, oh wow, there's actually material marks on this pull starter, PA6GF30. I mean, it's got a pretty decent spring in it. The coil, like, this pull starter assembly is really not bad. All that's left, the muffler, it's got some stuff in it. I wish I had a bore scope because I'm not cutting this muffler apart. But in my mind, tapping it, feeling the weight of it, it sounds like this is the only baffling in here, and then this is just an empty chamber. So I mean, I honestly maybe drilling a couple of these holes out, but there's no power to be found on this engine. maybe if you adjusted the exhaust port to open fuller more quickly, you could get some more power, but these transfers look enormous. The exhaust has almost no restriction. The intake has like no restriction. Because if we put the intake manifold on, it lines up perfectly with the body. It is smaller than the throttle bore, so I'll probably, let's see, the throttle bore on this thing is 14.8 and the intake manifold is 13.8, so I'll gently peel this gasket off. I don't know what these gaskets are, but they feel really nice. Oh, they wanted to be extra sure there was no intake leak, so they actually put gasket washers on the screws just in case you like got a leak there. I'm just gonna port that out to the same size as the throttle barrel and reassemble this, and once that's all done, we'll come back with the test. And I'm just doing that because I know it'll do something to help, and I just don't feel like taking it apart again. Little quick update. We drilled the hole out, and it matched the gasket. So I'm going to say that they designed it to be drilled out. I used a 37/64 drill bit, and it perfectly matches the gasket, and it's real close to the throttle bore. That's 15 millimeter drill would be fine if you're in a metric country. I also realized in all the excitement I forgot to measure the bore. So the bore is 47.9, we'll call it 48. Where did I put my marker? Where did I put my marker? Ah, here it is. 48. 45 squared is 576. Is that right? Yeah, 576 times pi. 7 times 4 is 30, 22, 6, 7, 5, 8, 2, 1725 square meters times 34.6. 0, 3, 5, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 28, 2, 10, 22 times 2, 6, 5, 1, 7, 21, 5. So we got 0.58, 831, 9, 5. 60 cc's with rounding. We'll verify the stroke again, I guess. But 60 cc's, yeah, we'll call it 60 cc, 65 cc. I probably just missed the stroke a little. Another thing, these rings have this bottom ring especially has a crap load of tension. Like, look at how much the rings can stick past the cylinder. It's to the point where the ring will slip past the pin, and so if you're struggling to get the jug back on, you just don't have your rings aligned with the pin. Oh, I never stopped the recording. That's good. So you can see how much of a struggle I'm having getting the stupid intake manifold back on. I've not been a fan. This sheet metal heat shield, real pain. I finally got it. But Jesus. I'm also not a big fan of this heat shield using the intake manifold like as its mounting holes, because like we've got to add another gasket. Oh, that's annoying. I gotta take this off again. The gasket has to go behind the plastic. Let me get the screw back in and I'll show you what I was just complaining about. But while I'm tightening these, yeah, I don't like the heat shield using the intake manifold screws as mounting screws and it actually going in, but like adding a gasket and being part of the intake path. I don't like it. It's probably transferring extra heat to the intake air. Not a fan. But anyways, you got to get the gasket behind this plastic piece, and you have to fight this in there, both of which were annoying. In another shocking turn of events, the factory spark plugs actually gapped to the manual. This is my 0.6 wire, and there's my 0.7 wire. It's actually gapped to in between 0.6 and 0.7 millimeters like the manual says. This is kind of crazy. I found something else interesting to note while putting this back together. This debris screen for the intake, not originally intended to go on this blower. You see these holes are counterbored just like all the other screws, and those are the ones that this goes into, which is also probably why that got over tightened at assembly. So possible that this blower shell goes to other stuff too that might not even be a backpack blower. You can also see there's unused bosses here that would definitely for a different type of intake screen. Just something interesting. All right, one new thing I discovered while putting it back together. You see how this says open and close and choke is down? Well, if you know how a choke works, that's open, this is on choke, and this is off choke. So the choke on and off is backwards. Okay, we got another thing to add. One, the mount for the control, wicked hard to get on. You feel like you're going to break it. Two, you see that hex? You see this hex? That's how it's supposed to go. When I received it, they put it on backwards. The head of the bolt was on this side. Like, guys, come on. Hexagonal peg in a hexagonal hole. It ain't that hard. All right, we got the POV view on. Let's see. I already got the primer pumped. We got the choke on. Let's see what it takes. We're not in stop. How many pulls is it going to take to start? Interesting. flathead to do some carb tuning, because she does not like being full throttle. Maybe I lied about that being the high screw. All right, so this needs way more high needle in order to actually be happy. I guess I'm gonna have to look at the carb a little bit harder to see if we can't find a high adjustment. Well, I know why I didn't run right the first time I tried. I had the intake manifold upside down. You see this? The boost port for the crankcase pulse port for the carburetor pump. Yeah, I had the intake manifold with it up there, so it wasn't getting any with it up there. So it wasn't getting any crankcase pulse. I don't even know how it ran. All right, let's try this again. Well, we're just gonna have to wait for some drier conditions to really check that out, but that does sound like a mean engine, don't it? Video cut off on me there. I was giving my remarks. You can see it works pretty okay. It's definitely better than the handheld blower and way less fatiguing. The throttle lock doesn't work. It's got a bit of a smell coming off of it, but I think that's just like rust preventative oils burning off and whatnot. The hose is definitely made for people of lesser stature, such as myself, and the people of the country of origin of this machine. Those of you probably 5'10" and up, probably going to want a longer hose somehow. Probably be pretty easy to make an extension in the flexible section. If not, I'm sure you can find this piece on Aliexpress by itself. This screw did turn out to be the low speed, just like I thought. It doesn't have much of an effect. This carburetor's got a pretty wide range of meh, it runs. Basically, it performs the same from here to basically until the screw comes out. About half turn in from this, the idle RPM will start dropping. But you saw... Oh, you didn't see, because I didn't record it. I started this a whole day later off just a couple pulls on the choke, and I forgot to hit the primer bulb. But it worked fine. Vibrates a little on your back, but the shoulder strap situation's pretty comfortable. So, yeah, this gets a recommend at like $80 for sure. No question.